The morning sun rose over New Seoul's eastern mountains, casting long shadows across the colony's gleaming buildings. 8-year-old Jisoo Han stood at her classroom window, watching the two moons of their new world fade into the brightening sky. Her small hands pressed against the glass as she dreamed of exploring those moons one day, just like her father did with his big ships. "Jisoo, come join your group," her teacher called. Today was special. They would visit the colony's famous butterfly gardens, where Earth's butterflies lived alongside the native flying creatures of their new home. Jisoo ran to join her friends, her black hair bouncing in its neat ponytail. She wore her favorite blue school uniform with the Earth Defense Fleet patch, just like the one on her father's uniform. Her father, Admiral Tahan, commanded the defense fleet that protected their colony. Everyone knew him as the quiet, strong man who kept them safe. In orbit above New Seoul, Admiral Han sat in his command chair aboard the flagship Morning Calm. His eyes tracked the regular patrol reports, while his thoughts drifted to Jisoo's upcoming birthday. He had already picked out her gift, a small telescope, perfect for a child who loved the stars. The butterfly garden visit started normally. Children laughed and pointed at the colorful wings fluttering around them. Their teacher, Ms. Lee, told them about how scientists had carefully brought Earth's butterflies to their new home. Jisoo followed a particularly beautiful blue butterfly, its wings shimmering like Earth's oceans in the garden's light. That's when everything changed. The garden's lights flickered. A low hum filled the air, making the butterflies scatter in panic. Ms. Lee started counting her students, gathering them close. But Jisoo had wandered into a quiet corner of the garden, still following that blue butterfly. The security cameras later showed only a brief flash of light. In that instant, Jisoo vanished. Alarms blared across New Seoul. Admiral Han was in the middle of a routine meeting when his screen lit up with emergency signals. His heart stopped when he read the first message. Incident at Butterfly Garden. Student missing. Identity: Jisoo Han. The colony's security forces moved fast. They locked down the garden, scanned every corner, and searched the surrounding areas. Admiral Han landed his personal shuttle minutes later, his usual calm replaced by a father's fear. "Show me everything," he ordered the security chief. They reviewed the footage together, the flash of light, the empty garden corner, and then, on the long-range sensors, something that shouldn't have been there. An unknown ship, hiding in the shadow of New Seoul's larger moon. As Earth's fastest ships raced to investigate, the unknown vessel jumped away, leaving only a strange energy signature behind. The colony's scientists had never seen anything like it. Hours turned into days. The search expanded. Earth's government sent special investigators. They found traces of an advanced teleportation technology in the garden, definitely not human-made. Then came the first contact. A ship appeared at the edge of the system. It belonged to a species calling themselves the Mora. They claimed to be peaceful explorers, interested in diplomatic relations with humans. Their timing seemed perfect, too perfect. Admiral Han stood in the colony's communication center as the Mora's message played. Their ambassador spoke perfect English, their words smooth and diplomatic. They offered condolences for the missing child. They offered help in the search. But something in their tone made Han's military instincts fire warnings. 20 years of command experience told him they were hiding something. He watched their transmission again and again, studying their strange, smooth faces and dark eyes. Track every known Mora movement in this sector, he ordered his intelligence team. Every ship, every signal, every trace. That night, alone in his office, Han held Jisoo's telescope, the birthday gift she would never receive. On his screen, analysts compiled data about the Mora, their ships, their technology. The evidence was building, piece by piece. Unknown to the Mora, they had made 3 critical mistakes. First, they had chosen to take a child. Second, they had chosen the child of an Earth Fleet admiral. But their third mistake would prove fatal. They had assumed humans would be too weak, too peaceful to respond with full force. They would learn how wrong they were very soon. 3 days after Jisu's disappearance, the Mora ambassador stood in New Seoul's government building. His tall, gray-skinned form towered over the human officials. 2 Earth Defense Fleet guards watched his every move, their hands never far from their weapons. Admiral Han sat across from the ambassador, his face like stone. The dark circles under his eyes showed how little he had slept since losing Jisu. "We understand your pain," the Mora ambassador said, his voice smooth like oil. "Let us help find your missing child. Our ships can scan areas your sensors cannot reach." Han watched the ambassador's 6-fingered hands as they moved during his speech. Something about those gentle movements seemed false, practiced, like a predator trying to appear harmless. In orbit, Captain Su-jin kept her eyes glued to the sensor readings aboard the Morning Calm. She had served with Admiral Han for 7 years, and she had never seen him so focused, so dangerous. As she studied the data, a pattern caught her eye. "Sir," she called Han on a private channel. "The energy signature from the day Jisu vanished. It matches the Mora ship's engines perfectly." Han showed no reaction to this news during the meeting. He simply nodded at the ambassador's offers of help and excused himself. But in his private office, he slammed his fist into his desk so hard it cracked the surface. The next discovery came at midnight. A junior analyst named Min burst into Han's office without knocking. "Sir, we found something in the garden's security recordings. The AI enhancement program just finished cleaning up the footage." They watched together as the enhanced video played. The mysterious flash of light became clear. 2 Mora, wearing stealth suits, appeared beside Jisu. One covered her mouth before she could scream. Then they vanished with her, leaving only that flash behind. Han's hands shook as he watched, not with sadness now, but with rage. Earth's government tried to handle things quietly at first. They sent a formal demand to the Mora for Jisu's return. The Mora denied everything. They claimed the video was fake. They said they were insulted by the accusation. Then came the transmission that changed everything. It arrived on all channels, breaking through the colony's best encryption. The message showed a Mora laboratory, cold, clinical, and there, on a metal table, lay Jisu, not moving, not breathing. Numbers and data in Mora language scrolled across the screen, marking her as Test Subject 274. They had used her for their experiments, like she was nothing, like she wasn't a child with dreams, with a family, with a future. The transmission ended with a Mora scientist saying, "Human biology is remarkably resilient. Subject lasted longer than expected. Results promising for future tests." In the silence that followed, Admiral Han stood perfectly still. Around him, his crew waited, watching their commander. They had served together through meteor storms and pirate attacks, but they had never seen the look that now appeared in his eyes. He walked to the main communication console and opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. His voice was quiet, controlled, but filled with steel. "This is Admiral Han. The Mora have murdered a human child, my daughter. They plan to take more. I request full military authorization. All ships, all weapons, everything we have." The response came within minutes. Earth's leaders had also seen the transmission. The vote was unanimous. "Authorization granted, Admiral. The Mora must learn that humanity will not tolerate the murder of our children. You have command of the full Earth Defense Fleet. Make them regret their choices." Han turned to his crew. "Send word to every ship in the fleet. I want them all here within 48 hours. The Mora think they can kill our children and face no consequences." His eyes hardened. "We will show them how wrong they are." Across Earth and its colonies, ships began to move. Weapons were loaded. Soldiers boarded transports. The greatest fleet humanity had ever assembled was coming together. The Mora had thought humans were weak. They had thought they could take a child, use her for their tests, and face no punishment. They had thought Earth would be too afraid to fight back. They were about to learn that nothing in the galaxy was more dangerous than humans protecting their children. The war was about to begin. The news of Jisu's death spread across Earth like wildfire. From the crowded cities of Asia to the colonies on Mars, humans watched the Mora laboratory video with horror and anger. Parents held their children closer. Schools increased their security. And everywhere, people demanded action. In Earth's military bases, soldiers and pilots volunteered by the thousands. They all wanted to join Admiral Han's fleet. Many of them had children of their own. They understood his pain. They shared his anger. At the main shipyard over Earth, Captain Sujin walked through the massive hangar where Earth's secret weapons waited. The Thunderstorm-class dreadnoughts were the biggest ships humans had ever built. Each one was 5 kilometers long, armed with weapons that could crack planets. Until now, Earth had kept them hidden, not wanting to seem threatening to other species. But that time was over. "Begin final checks on all Thunderstorm ships," Sujin ordered. "I want them ready to launch in 12 hours. The first Thunderstorm ship, named Heaven's Fury, rolled out of its hiding place inside the moon. Its black hull swallowed the light of nearby stars. Along its sides, rows of rail guns stretched like sleeping giants. At its front, the main cannon could shoot a beam hot enough to melt mountains. Admiral Han stood on the bridge of Heaven's Fury, now his new flagship. Around him, crew members worked at their stations, preparing the massive ship for war. On his screen, reports showed more ships joining his fleet every hour. Not just warships, but medical ships, repair vessels, and transport craft. Everything humanity had given to his command. "Admiral," a young officer called out, "the Mora are sending another message." The Mora ambassador appeared on the main screen. His smooth face showed concern as he saw Earth's fleet gathering. "Please," he said, "let us talk about this. There is no need for violence. We can." Han cut the transmission. He had no more words for them. In the ship's tactical room, Han met with his commanders. Sujin showed them the battle plans on a large hologram map. Red dots marked Mora worlds and bases. Blue marks showed where Earth's ships would attack. "The Mora think they're stronger than us because they've been in space longer," Sujin explained. "But they've grown lazy, comfortable. They don't know about our real weapons. They don't know how hard humans can fight when we're protecting our families." Han pointed to the first target on the map. "This is their biggest colony world. We hit it first. Show them what happens when they hurt our children." As the meeting ended, a message arrived from Earth's leaders. They had passed new laws. Any alien species that harmed human children would face total war. No negotiations, no mercy. They called it Jisu's Law. In orbit around Mars, Lieutenant Jinwoo trained the ground forces. Soldiers in powered armor practiced boarding enemy ships. Others learned to use the new plasma rifles that could punch through Mora armor. Every soldier wore a patch with Jisu's name on their sleeve. They would not forget why they were fighting. The Mora sent more messages. First, they offered money. Then they threatened to tell other alien species that humans were dangerous. Finally, they begged for mercy. Earth didn't respond. 7 days after Jisu's death, Admiral Han's fleet was ready. 500 warships, including 3 Thunderstorm dreadnoughts. 20,000 soldiers. The biggest army humans had ever sent to space. Before they left, Han stood in his quarters looking at a photo of Jisu. She was smiling, holding a model spaceship. She had wanted to be a pilot when she grew up. "Sir," Sujin's voice came through the comm. "The fleet is ready. All ships report combat status screen. We await your orders." Han touched the photo one last time. Then he walked to the bridge, his steps heavy with purpose. The crew stood straighter as he passed. They knew what was coming. From his command chair, Han looked at the fleet spread out before him. Humanity's answer to those who would harm their children. His voice was clear and cold as he gave the order every ship was waiting for. All ships, prepare for jump. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when you take a human child's life. The fleet vanished into jump space, heading for Mora territory. The war for vengeance had begun. The human fleet appeared near the largest Mora colony like a storm breaking through clouds. 500 ships dropped out of jump space at once, their engines burning bright against the dark. At the front, Heaven's Fury led the way, its massive black hull blocking out the stars. Admiral Han stood on the bridge, watching the Mora colony grow larger on his screens. The alien city sprawled across the planet's surface, its tall towers shining in the light of two suns. Mora ships hung in orbit, caught completely by surprise. "Send the message," Han ordered. Captain Sujin opened all channels. Her voice was clear and cold as she spoke. "Attention Mora colony. This is the Earth Defense Fleet. You have 1 hour to evacuate all civilians. Anyone who remains will be considered a military target. This is your only warning." The Mora didn't believe them at first. Their leaders sent back angry messages, calling the humans primitive and weak. But then they saw the size of Earth's fleet. They saw the thunderstorm dreadnoughts. Fear replaced their anger. "Sir," a sensor officer called out, "they're starting emergency launches. Civilian ships are taking off." Han nodded. He would not kill innocent Mora civilians. That would make humans no better than them. But he would destroy everything else. The hour passed quickly. Most Mora civilians fled in their ships, creating a stream of lights leaving the planet. The Mora military vessels formed a defensive line. They had more ships than the humans, but they didn't know what they were facing. "All ships, battle positions," Han commanded. "Captain Sujin, deploy your stealth squadron." Sujin's special team of small black ships slipped away from the fleet. They vanished from all sensors, using technology the Mora didn't know humans had. While the Mora watched the main fleet, Sujin's ships snuck behind their lines. The Mora commander's voice boomed across space. "You primitive humans dare to attack us. We are centuries ahead of you. Leave now, and we might forgive." "Fire," Han said quietly. Heaven's Fury shot first. Its main cannon lit up space with a beam brighter than a sun. The beam cut through 3 Mora battleships like they were made of paper. The ships exploded in silent bursts of light and metal. The Mora fired back, but their weapons couldn't break through the thunderstorm ship's shields. Earth's fleet moved forward like an unstoppable wave. Rail guns fired streams of metal at near light speed. Plasma torpedoes melted Mora ship armor. Behind the Mora fleet, Sujin's stealth ships appeared suddenly. "Surprise," she said, firing special weapons that shut down Mora engines. Their ships went dark, floating helplessly in space. Lieutenant Jin Woo led the ground attack. His soldiers, wearing powered armor that made them twice as strong as Mora warriors, landed on the planet. They targeted military bases, weapon factories, and command centers. They moved like ghosts, appearing and disappearing, leaving destruction behind. "Admiral," Sujin reported, "the Mora fleet is retreating. 80% of their ships destroyed or disabled. No civilian casualties. All military targets on the ground marked for elimination." Han looked at the battle screens. The Mora's strongest colony was falling apart. Their mighty defenses had lasted less than 2 hours against human weapons. But this was just the start. "Send the final message," he ordered. On all Mora channels, in every Mora language, they broadcast the video of Jisoo in the laboratory. After it, Han spoke. "You took a human child's life. You thought we were weak. Today, you learn how wrong you were. This colony was your strongest. It fell in 2 hours. We have hundreds more ships coming. We will not stop until every person responsible for killing human children faces justice. Run to your homeworld. Tell them what happened here. Tell them what's coming." As the fleet prepared to jump to its next target, Han received a message from Earth. More ships were launching. More soldiers were ready. All of humanity stood united, ready to punish those who had harmed a child. The Mora colony burned behind them, its military power broken. In the wreckage, emergency beacons broadcast warnings to other Mora worlds. Do not fight the humans. They are not what we thought. They are not weak. They are coming. They are unstoppable. But it was too late for warnings. The humans had only just begun. 3 weeks after the first attack, the Mora Empire was falling apart. Admiral Han's fleet had destroyed 30 military bases, disabled hundreds of ships, and freed thousands of prisoners. But what they found in their latest target changed everything. Deep inside a hidden Mora research station, Lieutenant Jin Woo's team discovered something horrible. More laboratories, more human test subjects, children taken from distant colonies, used for Mora experiments. Admiral, Jin Woo's voice shook as he reported, "We found 23 human children here. They're alive, but..." He couldn't finish the sentence. Han's hands gripped his command chair so hard the metal creaked. "Get them out. Get them all out. Then burn that place to the ground." The rescue teams moved fast. Medical ships rushed forward to help the freed children. Many were young colonists who had gone missing over the past year. The Mora had been stealing them for a long time, thinking humans would never find out. Captain Sujin led the attack on the station after the rescue. Her stealth ships surrounded it, weapons ready. "This is for the children," she said. Her ships fired together. The Mora station exploded into space dust. News of the rescued children spread through the fleet like fire. Soldiers who had been fighting hard now fought harder. The Mora hadn't just killed Jisoo. They had hurt many children. The human fleet's mission changed from revenge to rescue. "All ships, new orders," Han announced. "Scan every Mora base, every hidden station. Find our children. Bring them home." The Mora's allies started to abandon them. Other alien species who had traded with them now closed their ports to Mora ships. Nobody wanted to help a species that hurt children. On their homeworld, the Mora leaders began to fight among themselves. Some wanted to surrender. Others wanted to keep fighting. Their mighty empire was falling apart as humans smashed through their best defenses. Admiral Han received a message from a Mora scientist who wanted to surrender. The scientist sent files showing where more human children might be held. In return, he begged for mercy. Mercy? Han looked at the scientist's image on his screen. "Did you show mercy to the children?" But Han was not cruel. He ordered his fleet to spare any Mora who helped rescue human children. Those who helped would face fair trials. Those who fought would face Earth's full power. Lieutenant Jin Woo's team freed more children from each base they found. His soldiers carried the young ones to safety, protected them, gave them hope again. Each child wore a bracelet with a tracking device. Never again would they be lost. The Mora tried one last trick. They threatened to hurt their own children if humans didn't stop attacking. They thought this would make humans back away. They were wrong. "Launch rescue teams to all Mora civilian centers," Han ordered. "Save everyone's children, Mora and human. Show them the difference between us and them." Earth's soldiers protected both human and Mora children. They showed the galaxy that humans would fight hard, but they would also protect the innocent. Many Mora civilians began helping humans, telling them where their leaders had hidden things. Captain Sujin's stealth fleet found the biggest secret of all, the main laboratory where the Mora had planned everything, where they had first decided to take human children, where Jisoo had died. "Sir," Sujin called Han. "We found it. We found where they hurt Jisoo." Han was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was firm. "Capture everyone inside. They will face justice for what they did. Not revenge. Justice." The laboratory fell in less than an hour. Earth soldiers arrested the Mora scientists. They saved all their research data as evidence. Then they cleaned the place, making it a memorial for the children who had suffered there. As the 5th week of war ended, the Mora Empire was broken. Their leaders were running away. Their military was destroyed. Their secret labs were empty. But Han's fleet didn't stop. They had one final target, the Mora homeworld itself. There, they would end this forever. There, they would make sure no one ever hurt human children again. The message was clear across the galaxy. Harm a human child, and you face the full fury of Earth. The final battle was about to begin. The Mora homeworld hung in space like a blue and green jewel. 3 suns gave it endless daylight. Tall cities covered its surface. Orbital rings circled it like silver halos. This was the heart of the Mora Empire, their most protected world. Commander Yun stood on his ship's bridge, watching the planet grow larger. His fleet had arrived first, hidden behind the system's smallest moon. The rest of Earth's forces would arrive soon. Status report, he called to his crew. Their orbital defenses are massive, sir, his sensor officer replied. 10,000 ships, energy shields around the whole planet. They've gathered everything they have left to protect their home. Yun smiled. They still don't understand. Send the signal to Admiral Han. We're ready. In the darkness of space, Captain Sujin's stealth ships were already moving. They slipped through gaps in the Mora defenses, quiet as shadows. Their mission was simple: shut down the planetary shields. The Mora leaders were fighting among themselves inside their grand palace. Some wanted to surrender. Others wanted to fight to the end. They had lost their empire in just 5 weeks. Now, they would lose their home. Admiral Han's fleet detected. A Mora sensor operator shouted, "They're everywhere." Earth's main fleet appeared from jump space, surrounding the planet completely. 300 ships had become 800. The 3 thunderstorm dreadnoughts had become 7. Humanity had sent everything they had. On the bridge of Heaven's Fury, Admiral Han stood in his black uniform. A photo of Jisoo hung next to his command chair. This was the final battle, the one that would end it all. "Open all channels," he ordered. "Let everyone hear." His voice rang across space, reaching every ship, every city, every home on the Mora world. "I am Admiral Han of Earth. You know why we are here. You took our children. You hurt them. You killed them. You thought we were weak. Now your empire is gone. Your allies have left you. This is your last chance. Surrender those responsible for the deaths of our children, or watch your world burn." The Mora High Council tried to argue. They offered money, technology, whole planets, but they wouldn't give up the people responsible. "So be it," Han said quietly. "All ships, begin the attack." Captain Sujin's stealth ships struck first. They appeared inside the shield network, firing special weapons that overloaded the system. The mighty shields protecting the Mora homeworld flickered and died. The Mora fleet rushed to attack, but Earth's ships were ready. Rail guns fired. Plasma beams cut through space. The thunderstorm dreadnoughts moved forward like giant black arrows. Commander Yun led the ground attack. His soldiers landed in the capital city, wearing new armor that made them almost invisible. They'd moved through streets and buildings, capturing Mora leaders trying to escape. "Found them." Yun's voice cracked with emotion. "Admiral, we found the ones who killed Jisoo. They were hiding in a bunker under the palace. The battle in space was ending. Mora ships were destroyed or running away. The orbital rings were broken. Earth's fleet had won without losing a single ship. But below in the cities, something unexpected happened. Mora civilians began helping Earth's soldiers. They were tired of their leaders' cruelty. They showed humans where more secret labs were hidden. They helped arrest the scientists who had hurt children. "Sir," Sujin called to Han. "The Mora people, they're surrendering. All of them. They're turning against their leaders." Han looked at the burning orbital rings, the destroyed fleet, the fallen shields. His voice was tired but firm. "Tell our forces, anyone who surrenders will be treated fairly. Anyone who helps us will be shown mercy. We are not here to destroy a species. We are here for justice." The Mora homeworld fell in just 6 hours. Their mighty defenses meant nothing against Earth's anger. Their advanced technology couldn't save them from humanity's determination to protect its children. In the end, the same Mora Council room, where they had decided to take human children, became the place where they signed their surrender. Earth had won. The galaxy would never be the same. But for Admiral Han, there was one last thing to do. One final act of justice for Jisoo and all the other children. 1 month after the fall of the Mora homeworld, the trials began. They were held in a new space station built between Earth and Mora space. Representatives from 20 alien species came to watch. Everyone wanted to see how humans would handle their victory. Admiral Han sat in the front row of the courtroom. He watched as they brought in the Mora scientists and leaders who had hurt the children. The ones who had killed Jisoo stood in chains, their smooth faces now marked with fear. "We didn't know," one Mora scientist tried to explain. "We didn't think humans would be so strong, so united. We thought you were just another primitive species." "You thought wrong," Han said quietly. "You didn't understand one simple truth. Humans will cross galaxies, destroy empires, and reshape the universe to protect our children." The trials were fair, but the punishment was severe. The Mora who had hurt children would spend their lives in special prisons. Those who had helped humans save children received lighter sentences. Those who had tried to stop the experiments were freed. Captain Soo-jin led the team that turned the main Mora laboratory into a memorial. They built a garden there, filled with butterflies from Earth and Mora. At its center stood a statue of Jisoo, surrounded by the names of all the children who had suffered. The butterflies were her favorite, Han told Soo-jin as they stood in the garden. "She followed one the day they took her. Now they will help us remember." Commander Yun and Lieutenant Jinmu worked with the new Mora government. They helped create laws to protect all children, human and alien. No one would ever again think they could hurt children and escape punishment. On Earth, people built new schools with better security. They named ships after the children who had been lost. Every Earth Defense Fleet vessel now carried a simple message painted on its hull: "Protect the children." The rescued children slowly healed. Some returned to their colonies. Others stayed on Earth. All of them received help and care. The humans showed the galaxy that they were not just good at war, they were also good at healing. Alien species who had watched the war learned important lessons. Many signed new treaties with Earth. They saw that humans could be powerful friends or terrible enemies. It all depended on how they treated human children. 1 year after the war, Admiral Han stood on the bridge of Heaven's Fury one last time. He was retiring from the fleet. His mission was complete. "What will you do now, sir?" Soo-jin asked him. Han looked out at the stars. "I'm going to teach. Help train the next generation of fleet officers. Make sure they understand what we fought for." The Mora Empire never recovered, but their people changed. They worked to make up for what their leaders had done. They helped build the memorial garden. They joined Earth's efforts to protect children across the galaxy. 5 years later, Han visited the butterfly garden on New Seoul where Jisoo had disappeared. It was different now. Stronger walls, better security. But the butterflies still flew freely, their wings shining in the sunlight. A small Mora girl walked up to him. She carried flowers for the memorial. "Are you Admiral Han?" she asked. "My parents told me what you did, how you saved both human and Mora children." Han knelt beside her. "What's your name?" "Jisoo," she said. "My parents named me after your daughter. They said her story changed everything, made us better." Han watched a blue butterfly land on a nearby flower, just like the one Jisoo had followed. His voice was soft as he spoke. "Remember this, young Jisoo. Humans will always protect children, all children. We're not the strongest or the most advanced species, but we will fight anyone who hurts the innocent. That's what makes us human." The galaxy never forgot the lesson of the Mora War. The message was clear and simple. Humans might look weak. They might seem primitive, but threaten their children, and they become the most dangerous force in the universe. And somewhere, in a garden filled with butterflies, Jisoo's memory lived on. a reminder that humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons or ships, but its unbreakable will to protect its children.